Danny Green's former head coaches are looking for new jobs, and his former team might have gotten the best prospect of all time. But of course, we start with the Western and Eastern Conference Finals. Welcome into another episode of Inside the Green Room with Danny Green. Jamal Murray stole the show in Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals. 23 points in the fourth quarter. All types of buckets, all types of work, as Anthony Davis had yet another on and off game. It is like rinse and repeat with him. We'll get into that in a moment, but let's talk about the victors first, Danny. Why did the Denver Nuggets win on Thursday night?
Man, I honestly thought the Lakers had that game in the bag. Rui kind of carried him most of the game. He was playing well. Austin brought him back when they went down. They just had a couple lapses. It seemed like a meltdown at one point where there's just some bad shots and turnovers where Denver started picking up their pace and they started hitting some threes. You know, it was a low-scoring game. It was kind of ugly for most of the game. Jamal was struggling a little bit. But once he got one or two to go down and then Michael Porter Jr. hit a three, it kind of opened up the lead for them. But said Austin brought them back. It was a hell of a series. So they have a lot to be confident about. But when you're down 0-2, it's tough to be this confident. They could definitely make some changes to where they can get back in the series and win both at home. Starts with AD because you can't rely on Rui and Austin to carry them, you know, throughout these games. Even though they're playing at an extremely high level, I think Rui's missed like 2 shots in the whole series. Austin's been playing really well, so those guys can continue to play well. They found their spots, find their rhythm and groove. But you need AD and Bron to be them. You know, Bron missed a couple easy chippies, had a couple turnovers late down the stretch, missed a lot of threes, was 0 for 6 from 3. So I expect both of those guys to be better. So I think they have a lot of upside, a lot of positivity to look to, but they have to have more of a sense of urgency and keep that sense of urgency throughout the whole game because you could tell they let up around that 5-6 minute mark in the fourth quarter.
So according to you, the Lakers lost that game.
I mean, I know the narrative.
I asked you why the Nuggets won.
100%.
You said
100%.
And you said that. Yeah. Okay.
100%. They were up double digits most of the game. It was both Lakers lost and Nuggets won. The Nuggets came and they were persistent. You know, they finally, stuck with it, and eventually knew that they would make shots. So they came back and won. So they came from a 10-point deficit, not only tied it up, but went up 10, 12 points, made them call timeouts, and then they let them back in the game. So it's kind of crazy how both teams kind of let both teams back in the game. Daniel gave it away. There's some bad turnovers in the game, but ultimately I think the Lakers had the game for most of the game, and they definitely lost it. More percentage of them losing it than Denver winning it. And I know the narrative is everybody's thinking about, the Lakers being fine, being down 0-1 or being down 0-2, and as things look at instead of the Nuggets being as good as they are. But when you have a team like the Lakers and you have expectations for certain guys on that team and they don't meet those expectations, then you're wondering why. And then you're thinking, and it's, of course, another reason is Denver hasn't in the past been great in the playoffs enough to make people believe, but I think they're earning people's respect right now.
Yeah, they definitely are, especially Jamal Murray. 23 points of his total 37 in that fourth quarter. A big difference. They started the game with Jared Vanderbilt back in the starter lineup, and he guarded Jamal Murray very well in that first half. Jamal Murray's first half stats weren't that impressive, but as the game continued to wane on, it was less Jared Vanderbilt out there, I guess maybe because he's not a shooter, but now you take away maybe your best defensive option for Jamal Murray, and all of a sudden Murray starts cooking all over again at a heightened level in that altitude. I want to talk about the altitude in just a moment, but again, with Jamal Murray, you saw him in the bubble. You played against him.
Yeah.
Talk about what makes him who he is.
When he's healthy, man, he's unbelievable. In the bubble, he was really unbelievable. He's a guy that can make tough shots. He took and made some tough turnaround fadeaway shots, especially if he's on, if he's hitting. I know this game he started off slow, but he can score in a multitude of ways, 3 levels. Finish at the rim, floater, pull up, mid-range, in the post, and shooting a 3 pretty well. So you have to guard him all levels. I think you have to try to wear him down, make him tired on defense. But yeah, man, back to your point early on, I don't know what you said in the beginning of that. It was about the Lakers. You said something about the Lakers.
Well, I said they were also tired as well. It looked like they were tired
the altitude.
as well playing in the out. Yeah. So okay. So you've played against Jamal Murray. But what was it? What was it specifically about how? Yeah, he could. There's a lot of guys who could score on 3 levels. What was it about guarding him? And then we'll talk about the altitude in just a moment.
Not as well as he does, not as efficiently as he does, and in the playoffs they don't. So he makes it on. Some guys score on all levels, but not as as tough as shots. Certain guys that can make tough shots. There's guys like Jamal Crawford, J.R. Smith. Some of those guys, have made some tough shots. Obviously, Book, KD, they're bigger than people. He is not bigger than a lot of guards, but he is big enough to post up some smaller point guards. But he's still able to shoot over guys. Even some of his threes tonight were over AD. So he's able to shoot and make those tough shots. And so once he gets going, it's not much of even great defense is really not stopping him. I played some pretty good defense on him, and he made some tough shots in the bubble. So I'm sure, Lakers were kind of feeling that type of momentum swing when he started feeling it. Bron's contesting his 3. He's knocking down shots. I don't think the altitude got to the Lakers like that. Maybe game 1, first 5 minutes, but they started off this game, a lot better. First quarter, first half. They were in the lead most of the game. But, you can see teams are cutting down rotations. Vanderbilt, I guess he did a great job defensively, but they needed scoring. It was an ugly, mucked up game. That's what I was trying to mention earlier. The reason why they took out Vando is because both teams, they were in 130, 120s last game. This game, it was like 96 to 101 or 90s, 90 to 80. It was a slow game, so they were trying to find some scoring, and I think that's what they were trying to do. And doing so, they gave, Jamal Murray some light to where he found a rhythm, and that cost him.
Yeah, personally, I think it's a wrap. Lakers will win game 3 because of the desperation. They might win game number 4, but I don't see that how the Lakers continue to play, how they're going to beat Denver in Denver. You can't keep up with that fast break attack on the road.
If they keep up their pace,
and I'm not personally going to bet. I'm not going to bet on Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura to play that well again on the road, particularly if it ends up going to a game number 7. So I got the Nuggets. Let's talk about the Eastern Conference real 100%. Quick. Can't believe I'm no longer gonna say I don't believe in the Miami Heat. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not losing any more money. Best believe that betting against the Heat. I'm tired of that. Those L's that they've been giving me. Joe Mazzulla not calling a timeout really got on Celtics fans' nerves in that third quarter. What happens? How do the Miami Heat continue to pull off what would seem still as an upset?
I mean, they keep, having those other guys step up the way they have. They had 4 guys outside of Jimmy and Bam have 15 points. Jimmy and Bam had 35, 20 something. Then they had Kalo with 15, Caleb Martin 15, Vincent 15. They had a bunch of guys scoring for them and doing things that, they haven't been doing all season. They're scoring at a high clip, 120 something points without Tyler Hero. So if they continue that pace and that scoring, doesn't matter who they play, it's going to be tough to beat. But I don't see Jason Tatum taking another fourth quarter off. I don't see Joe Mazzulla making certain adjustments. I still think Boston is the better team. I do think Miami's balling, and they're very well coached, so they always have a chance. But it's going to be interesting, man. Game 2 is going to be very interesting, and see what Jimmy brings, see what Jason Tatum bounces back from. And Joe Mazzulla said, I played for coaches that didn't call timeouts. You know what I'm saying? So Coach Williams was like that. He's like, I'm not going to bail you out with timeout. You guys have weathered the storm. But when you're a rookie coach in this league and you don't call a timeout and you give up a 45-point quarter, now people are going to kind of question, what are you doing? But I'm sure he's done that throughout the season, and they have responded. I guess this one game they haven't, but it's something that the media is going to talk about, the team's going to talk about, and the players have to answer questions. He's going to have to answer questions for.
Yeah, no, for sure, because you got to use that timeout, bro. I don't care if you're training your guys. It's not the way to go. When we come back after break, want to talk about Danny's former team picking up what many are saying the best prospect in the NBA. And since we have down to the final 4, let's talk about who's the best player left. Be right back after the break. Thank you guys for tuning into Inside the Green Room. Don't forget to find us on Instagram at Inside Green Room or on Twitter, Green Room Inside. You already know Danny's Twitter handle, so you know where to find him. You also might know where to find some of the best players in the NBA. Some of them are on the couch at home, and some of them are actually still playing. The question that I want to ask my co-host here, who's the best player left in the playoffs?
Man, I'm going to have to go with Jokic, man. I mean, I know a lot of people think that his numbers are a little skewed or very gaudy and they don't make the impact, but the numbers he are putting up, and they are impactful, because without him, they don't have a chance against the Lakers. The rebounds he's getting, the tips, The passes he's making, obviously they make it tough on him. He's, had a couple of turnovers as late and trying to figure out some of the different coverages they're throwing at him. But even with all those coverages, he's throwing out unbelievable numbers out there. Jamal Murray's playing really well right now too. I would have said Jason Tatum, but that fourth quarter was tough. I'm going to go with Jokic and then Jimmy. What Jimmy has done throughout these playoff series and in game one against the Boston Celtics, where people don't think that they have a shot. They're 8th seed, had 35 points and lead his team to victory. You got to have that man in a conversation with, 1A, 1B, Jokic and then Jimmy.
So Jokic is the best player in the NBA playoffs.
I'm going to go with Jokic because right now they're up 2-0. Now if Jimmy goes 2-0 on Boston.
The level playing field. No, every series is 0-0. Best player in the playoffs.
I'm going to put respect on Denver's name and Jokic's name. And I have a lot of respect for Jimmy and him too, because Jimmy Butler is doing some unbelievable things in this playoffs and a whole playoffs postseason. But I have to go with Jokic, number one. He's an MVP player all year. And the numbers that he's put up video game stats, man. Triple doubles, he has back-to-back triple doubles in the playoffs. That's hard to outbeat. Even though Jimmy has, beat some giants. He's taken down some giants.
Yeah, for me, I'm definitely going with Nikola Jokic. It's not just, obviously the numbers are crazy, but he is an offense unto himself. Everything can operate around him. And if you decide to double team him, he's going to get you for 20 assists, and he's going to make KCP get clean looks. He's going to make Jamal Murray get clean looks. He's going to make Michael Porter Jr. get clean looks. If you let him rebound the ball, which actually you don't have to let him, he'll take the rebounds. All of a sudden he's finding Bruce Brown to go for a fast break layup. All of a sudden he's finding Christian Braun, fast break layup. And then if you decide to single cover him with Anthony Davis, one of the best defensive players in the NBA, he is still giving you the business. It is nuts to me. I couldn't believe it, how the work he was giving AD when AD was guarding him one-on-one. Tremendous. And after I saw that, I was like, there's no way I'm ever denying this guy again. No way. I just look at him and his physique and judge him based off that. I'm judging him off the
Team
work
whack bodies
he puts in.
As
and the
Perk
work
would say.
he puts in, chef's kiss. The man is tremendous.
Nah, he's great.
I almost wanted to say Jason Tatum, but him and those Boston Celtics play with their food too much. So I'm not gonna mess around with that.
100%.
Even though he's obviously tremendously skilled, but sometimes it's not always about the skill, it's also about the execution. And that
100%.
is where the Celtics have their issues, Danny.
I agree.
Okay.
But I do want to say one thing though. Jokic, he's slithery, he's smart, he knows how to create fouls, and not just said he's great at what he did. Not just Anthony Davis, no matter who's guarding him. And Anthony Davis has been the best defensive player in the postseason thus far. And for him to score on him like he has, it shows how great he is. But tonight I was watching, I felt like, guys, we got to get flopping out the game, man. There was too much going back and forth with the flopping, guys trying to, bait calls. So we gotta find a way. And I said, I love when those guys go at each other, banging body in the post and, not looking for fouls. But there was so many times, so many instances where both guys on both teams were selling something, and it's making the game look, to me, look really soft.
Yeah, well, I agree. Real quick before we take a break. So your former team just got Victor Wembanyama.
Yep.
I wanted him to go to the Hornets.
They got the number one pick. They got the number one pick. So yes.
Stop it.
Okay.
Yeah, they got Victor Wembanyama. I wanted him to go to the Charlotte Hornets because my brother lives in Charlotte and works for the Hornets, but that didn't happen. When I didn't see that, I was happy that it was the Spurs because I feel like Victor Wembanyama is in great hands. Why is he in great hands?
Unbelievable hands. I think it's a perfect place for him just to learn how to be a professional. Even if it was a system or a city that's, been losing some, I think Pop is a perfect person to coach this young man. Obviously, he's got a tie with Tony. He listens to him. Boris has been there. You got Tim Duncan in your backyard. That doesn't hurt. David Robinson, all these greats that are there. I know Timmy's not a big fan of coaching, but I know he will be around to help player development and teaching certain guys. But Pop, he's a military disciplined guy. He's not going to let you be loose. I know he may think, or the stigma is that, French players come over too cool or think they're the greatest. I think he did an amazing job with Tony. Why not do it this big? And also Timmy. So I think he'll find a way to humble him a little bit. At the same time, let him be himself and be great, and how to play with his teammates, and know that, the game is bigger than him, and you need your teammates to win. So certain coaches may not coach that way. You know what I'm saying? They may let star players do whatever they want, but Pop is going to let him know, you need these guys to be great, and they need you to be great. So that you can't let them down, vice versa. So he's going to hold you to be a player. He's going to hold you to a standard of not cutting any corners, not missing any assignments, regardless of who you are. He's the same cuss with everybody. So be prepared, young fella. You're in for a great journey, but it's not going to be easy.
What is the standard?
In terms of, like, you mean being a professional?
Whatever Pop said, you said Pop's going to hold him to the standard of being a professional. What is, you've been in, how many locker rooms have you been in now? I
have. Tim Duncan's the standard. For Pop and the Spurs locker room, Tim Duncan is the standard. He is the superstar.
Which is what?
That doesn't think or act like he's a superstar. He's the most humble, down-to-earth guy, and doesn't treat like he's bigger than the game, and doesn't cut corners. I said he's going to find ways to win games, whatever it is, not just scoring, but playing defense. He's going to teach him how to be a defender, how to protect the paint, how to switch out. All those things that the game needs for him to do, he's going to make him that first and worry about scoring later. But he's going to polish him to make him, to be what he potentially could be, but also following that standard of how Timmy carried the torch, by not acting like he was a superstar.
So Wemby goes to one of the best coaches of all time. Meanwhile, there's a number of coaches out there looking for a new job. When we come back, we'll talk about Doc Rivers. We'll talk about Nick Nurse. Coaching carousel is kind of crazy. We'll talk about that next when we return right here with Inside the Green Room. Welcome back to Inside the Green Room. Harrison, Sanford, Danny Green. About to get out of here. I'm popping this one on Danny. We're going to tell a story before we get out of here about how he almost took the life of somebody. Don't be alarmed, y'all. Don't be alarmed.
Okay.
But before we oh my, I can't believe that happened. Okay, but before we do that, there's a bunch of coaches that are open or that are available for head coaching vacancies in the NBA. Nick Nurse, Monty Williams, Mike Budenholzer, Doc Rivers. Apparently Mike D'Antoni is a new person out there. Frank Vogel.
JJ Redick.
Yeah.
Mark Jackson.
You got three former coaches out there on the market.
Analysts.
Budenholzer used to be your assistant. Real quick. Looking at the teams that don't have head coaches, do me a favor, my friend. From number 5 to number 1, and we only have 2 minutes.
Yeah.
The best coaching. Actually, you know what? Yes, the best coaching fits for each gig. You ready? Gotta go first.
Yeah.
You got 2 minutes. Phoenix Suns, best coach available for them.
I'm gonna say, because I have 2 guys for that. I'm gonna say Nick Nurse, or I'm gonna say Nick Nurse.
Why?
Or man, I got 2 minutes. Okay, let's get this down to the nitty gritty. Phoenix Suns, the coaches that are out there. I like Nick Nurse for that job. I think he thinks outside the box, and I think he's good with that type of group of talent, and can figure out a way, unorthodox ways to win games with that group, and find, obviously they're gonna need to find some bench pieces, but I think he can make them a really good, special group, honestly.
Philadelphia 76ers.
I got Monty, either for there or for Milwaukee. I got Monty. And I think Monty can coach Joel. We don't know what's gonna happen with James Harden. So I think he's a good fit and positive attitude, and teach them how to play the right way, unselfish basketball. Not saying that they didn't, but I think he has a good on the culture type of vibe, and can make that culture turn around the culture. He can do it in Phoenix. He can definitely do it in Philly.
All right. Milwaukee Bucks. And you can't say Monty.
I'm going to say Frank Vogel. I like what he did. I like a lot of things that he did in LA. I like a lot of his defensive principles, and obviously some of his offense. So I think he'll do a great job with that team that's, very defensive. Even though they had some struggles in the Miami series, I think he can do, really well with those pieces they have there defensively.
All right, guys. Appreciate you for tuning in. Before you go, though, now we must talk about it. And I can't believe we've done episodes of this show without mentioning it. Okay. Apparently, during Danny's last days in Cleveland, last regular season days, I believe, in Cleveland, guess he was so antsy to get out on the court after halftime that he decided to shoot the ball, which is perfectly fine. Go to the court there at Rocket Mortgage Arena and then take some shots. Who cares? You know who cares? The person who is performing during halftime on what? 20
about
stairs,
15 chairs, about 15
on
chairs
top of 15
down.
chairs. There's a man hanging at the top of 15 chairs performing for the lovely Cleveland Cavaliers fans, and he is holding on to his life by these 15 chairs. You know what threatens his health? A basketball, a missed shot from Danny Green that almost knocked out each and every chair and was taken by man.
Almost took him out. I don't think he saw it though.
To a hardwood fall.
I don't think he saw it.
The video's out there. We'll put the video on our YouTube. Maybe we'll put it on our Twitter as well. Danny, what can you please?
Hey man, I got my halftime routine, man. I take my half court shot every halftime. A lot of those guys, most of the time they finish. But I knew, make sure when I shot it that I that the ball didn't go near him. And it happened. I reacted quickly, got the ball, and it could have been really bad. He didn't die. He survived. I got the ball. But, we all have our halftime, pregame thing. So I always shoot my half-court shot. We were on the court. The light's still off. And it was a good attempt. It just, came up front rim kind of hot. Came out kind of hot. And almost, it was almost a bowling ball type situation. It almost took him out. But I saved him. And he finishes that. And he's a Long Island guy. He's from New York. I don't know if you know that. He's from New York. He's a New York guy.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, no, that would have been a Long Island crime if you would have taken out one of his chairs with your missed shot, bro.
It would have been bad. It would have been bad.
Bro, you couldn't wait until he was done with his act?
Nah, son. We get like 5 minutes to warm up.
It's gotta be a swish if you do that, bro.
I took the chance. I believed in myself. Obviously, you didn't. Nobody else did.
You should have.
I thought I was gonna make it. So I shot it like, this is a low risk shot for me, bro, because it's cash. It didn't happen that way, but I believe in me.
I saw that video and you can hear the collective gasp.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell are you doing?
Danny Green, what are you doing? Was that Danny Green?
It's the playoffs, pimp. Sometimes you gotta take it, you know what I'm saying? If you got hit, you gotta take an L, you know what I'm saying, for the playoffs. Yeah.
All right, y'all. We gotta go. If you want to see that video, tap into our YouTube. Danny was wildin'. See you guys next time. Subscribe, rate, review. You know what to do.